Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Hey friends, this is Wendy. I am thrilled to share this conversation today with Kathy Wright. She is an amazing, fabulous woman who joined me on my trip to Paris and Versailles in March of 2022. She lives in the Southern Highlands, a gorgeous rural community near Sydney, Australia. She has a partner of 19 years and two fur babies, Coco and Red. She works part-time as an Auslan interpreter, so the Australian Sign Language interpreter. And she provides access for the general community and for the deaf community. She is passionate about the deaf community and sign language, which is a fundamental human right for deaf and hard of hearing people. She also knows American, French, and Italian sign language too. She is the parent of two adult deaf children and the blessed grandma of gorgeous granddaughters aged 20 and 15. Her partner has two beautiful daughters and three gorgeous granddaughters, and they all live in Melbourne. She's passionate about all things French, food, culture, language, style, and their attitude for life. And she says that she delights in saying yes to the things that nurture her soul and feel right for her. And I am so excited to share this beautiful conversation I had with her. So sit back and take a listen to my chat with the lovely, gorgeous Grandma Kathy Wright. Kathy Wright, I am so thrilled to see your beautiful face again. How are you?
Hi, Wendy. I'm very excited to be here on your podcast.
Yay, I'm happy to have you here. How have you been? So I've seen you. We've done a couple of Instagram lives. We've had a couple of Zoom calls, but I have not seen you in person since we were in Paris and Versailles together in March of 2022. So I just would love to hear what's on your heart. What ways has the practice of saying yes to yourself, in what ways has that affected you? Tell me all the things. I'm here for it.
Well, since coming back from Paris, it's really lovely to reflect regularly on those experiences and take myself back there and remember the pace and the openness and the joy that we shared together in our group. And I still feel really elevated from that experience of just saying yes.
I love that.
Before I went to Paris, when I said yes to your tour, I thought to myself, oh, I won't know any of these people on the tour. Of course, I knew you a little, Wendy, through our contact, but it was fairly brave, I guess. At my age, I'm a grandma and I'm working part-time now, as you said. But, I really wanted to open myself up to new experiences and pleasurable, enjoyable experiences and just take it all in and see what felt right for me and what nourished my soul.
Oh, that's beautiful. And it is brave. It's really brave to say yes to yourself and essentially travel internationally with a woman you've met on the internet. Like, I understand that someone might think that's odd, but I believe that we are redefining what friendship means, and we are redefining knowing someone. And I just feel like meeting in person can't be the only checkbox of knowing someone, because I would say that I know you far better than the lady that works at the grocery store, even though I've met her in person multiple times. I do applaud your bravery and traveling by yourself. Have you traveled by yourself before, or was that something that was a little bit, did that make you nervous?
Well, I had only travelled by myself a few years previous to coming to Paris. I think I had travelled twice to Europe on my own from Australia. My loving, beautiful partner encouraged me to visit my daughter when she was studying in Glasgow. And I was like, oh, I have to get on the plane by myself. I haven't travelled. And it's fine. It's so very fine. Again, saying yes. Oh, shall I go and visit my daughter in Glasgow while she's studying at university? Yes, I think yes. And it was awesome. And even this trip, certainly with your wonderful support, Wendy, as well, having a greeter in Paris was amazing. Having someone there whisk me through, and particularly because my flight was diverted to Mumbai instead of Dubai because we had a little technical issue. So I arrived in Paris many hours later than I had planned. So I was arriving in the evening rather than in the middle of the day. And so having the greeter there that you had said was an option, which I said yes to. And it was lovely. He was so professional and lovely, not too friendly, not too distant, just it was really a great experience, walking out of the plane, seeing my name there. He took my carry-on straight away, asked me how I was, whipped me through immigration. Like,
I will never fly into Charles de Gaulle and not use that service. I just feel like a queen. I flew here in economy, but I'm first class now, people, and I don't stand in a line. I mean, there were 500 people in the line when he greeted me. And then there were 3 people in this other magic line, and he cut in front of the 3 people and processed my paperwork and then whisked me down to baggage claim. And I was in a car in no time. It was unbelievable.
and the joy of not standing at the conveyor belt looking for your luggage is awesome. Please, madam, have a little seat here. I'll go and get your bag for you. And I think my suitcase was the last to come out, so he was there for quite a while. There was no looking around for where should I get my car, where should I get a taxi, straight to the car door. It was fantastic.
It doesn't take hardly any time to become accustomed to that sort of attention and service.
Absolutely. And then, I had again met another woman online. So the week later, before we met you, I met up with Angie, who came on tour with us as well. And we were both kind of like giggly schoolgirls, I think, because it was exciting, being in Paris together. And Angie hadn't been in Paris before. And of course, we'd been introduced on a Zoom call with you before we arrived, which was a lovely little icebreaker. But we had the best time that evening, just having dinner together and, sharing our stories. And I would never have met Angie if I didn't say yes to myself.
Right?
Yeah, she's a beautiful, beautiful friend. I loved hearing her story, and her calming calligraphy. What a beautiful way to do meditation. And this is from the person who thinks she has the worst handwriting in the world, myself. So being able to do some beautiful calligraphy is a joy to me,
Hey, did you join her membership?
Yeah. The time difference is always difficult in Australia to often join live to these things, but I get the recorded sessions and this is the joy about online, like people get a little bit, oh, I don't want to be online, or, oh, not social media, or this or that, or, oh, there's all the algorithms and, like we can curate what we see online. We can curate who we follow. I have lots of other, and I call them friendships because they are
Right.
friendships online on Instagram, where people, I might make a little comment and someone will come back and say, oh, that's so beautiful of you to say, that's so kind. And we have people in our local village who aren't here full time, but these are young couples who've had babies, and I go, oh, congratulations, that's so lovely. What a beautiful, sweet little baby. And they're like, oh, thank you so much. That's really lovely of you to say. Be kind, just say yes and be kind to people, because it's a really bonding feeling in the community. So when I do bump into these people that I'm, chatting with direct messaging online, I might bump into them at our local post office store and they go, hi. And I go, oh, hi, I'm gorgeous Grandma Kathy. Now, my granddaughter set my handle because I overuse the word gorgeous, but it's very sweet of her.
Well, that's how we met, because in October of 2021, the day I met Jane Webster, and we did one of her Paris walks on the way to book club. And so I think you must have been watching and started following me that morning. And then after book club, we took the train and went to Bosque. And so I was doing a live and going through my room and completely fangirling, and like I couldn't believe I was there, and I was overusing the word gorgeous, and you commented while I was talking and you said, I do the same thing and there is no better word. And I just thought, you are my person. So I'm so happy. So we are friends, and I am a real person because I remember the moment that we met, and I consider it the day that I was doing a live from my room at Bosque. So we've been friends for almost a year. Happy anniversary to us.
Happy anniversary to us. And I must say, your joy and your live in the October, correct?
Yes.
Is that right? Yes. When we first met, then I was able to experience that when I said yes to your tour. And I must say, when I walked into my room and was seeing that with my eyes, I wasn't doing a live at that stage, but I became so overwhelmed. I never expected to feel so deeply this sense of joy and happiness. And I walked into my room with Jane and I said, oh, Jane, it's beautiful. It really is just so beautiful. And I started to cry with happiness.
Yes.
I don't get to do that very much in my life. So it is a lovely, lovely thing to do. And I must say, I had met Jane again online earlier on when COVID hit and we were in Australia. We had quite a lot of lockdowns within our individual states trying to contain the spread of COVID, which was, a very new and challenging time for many of us. I found that Jane was doing some cooking classes online, and I thought, what a lovely thing to do to connect with people. So I actually started by doing a Mastering the Arts of True Hospitality, and that was a joy.
Yes,
that was lovely. And
you
did that too, I think, Wendy.
That's why.
Yeah,
and then I took the cooking classes as well, but I was Northern Hemisphere on Friday nights and you were Southern on Sunday morning.
So I met a couple of ladies. I met Sarah on Mastering the Arts of True Hospitality, which is lovely, like just doing the little things around the house that give us joy and, appreciate that. And then the cooking classes were fantastic. I really looked forward to them every Sunday night. Because we girls were in the Southern Hemisphere on Sunday evening, we'd have a glass of wine while we were cooking, and it was just really lovely. So I continued on with those for a while. And of course, then in the October, I met you, Wendy, and then, things were chugging along and I saw that I came a little late to it. I'm not quite sure why I missed it, but I went, it was the beginning, I think, of this year that I came across your tour, and I said to my partner, oh, Steve, isn't this just amazing? Look at this itinerary. All my favorite things. I couldn't have curated it better myself.
Because we're the same person.
That's right. We are the same person, Wendy. And so He said, "Why did you go?" And I went, "Oh, but it's in March." And he said, "So?" "Oh, Steve, like it's money." He said, "So we can afford it. It's not expensive. It's good value, I think." Yes, yes, yes,
Yay!
I'm going.
Yay!
And then I was a bit of an early adopter. I was getting a little bit panicked that I'd miss out on a place. And I was like, I have to do it now. Now, once I say yes, I'm an early adopter.
Because we are the
And,
same person. I am
exactly.
never wait until when they say, oh, it's, this registration closes on whatever date. Like, that's nice. I'm doing it now. I feel like I have two speeds. It's either right now or not at all.
Yes, right now. And who knows what's along the line?
Right.
If you don't say yes now, who knows?
Right.
Yeah. And so another friend I met online, it's like all my relationships are online. No, not really.
Because those are real friendships. And thankfully, because we've been able to experience connection, and that is vital. I want to hear what you're going to say, but I want to speak to the connection piece. When the pandemic first started here, we didn't have our lockdown until March of 2020. And I was in a business course where I've met so many of my friends online, never in person yet. KB is one of them. And one of our homework assignments was to go live on Instagram. I was like, no, thank you. No. So, and this was at a point where we had already been, not able to leave the house for about 4 weeks. So I was about 7 weeks from my hair appointment. So I had some gray coming in. Like, I am not going live. That is crazy town. But I'm also a rule follower. And if there's a homework assignment, I am going to do it. And
we are the same person. Definitely we are the same
we
person.
are, right? I know we are. So I did it and I was very nervous, sweating. And as soon as the first person came on and it says, gorgeous Grandma Kathy has joined, something happened inside of me. I felt like someone was in my kitchen with me. And I was so starved for connection after not speaking to a human in person for 3 weeks, which apparently is my threshold for that. Besides people who lived in my house. And it just ignited something in me. And I just thought, this is magic. And it's available for me whenever I want. And now, like, I go live every Friday. I've got grass clippings in my hair because I just came off the lawnmower, but it's time to shake up a cocktail, people. So if we wait till I'm camera ready, we'll be waiting a long time. And I don't want anyone to die of thirst. So let's just get to it.
And you always look gorgeous, and that's keeping it real.
Sweet.
And that's keeping it real. I love that. I love it.
My happy is on the inside. And I think that is what is attractive. And it really has so little to do with my giant hair.
Yeah, I do love your giant hair, I must say.
Thank you. It is big.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I interrupted you. So you're doing cooking classes.
Yes.
And there are more friends.
Yes. And so traveling down to Melbourne in Australia, so 3 of the ladies that were on the cooking class were in Melbourne. And I went, hey, the Gabrielle Chanel manifesto is at Victorian Art Gallery, thinking about coming down. Does anyone want to join me? We had a little WhatsApp group together on the cooking class, and one of the ladies suggested it. And I said, oh, yes, I really wanted to do that, but I was not really wanting to go on my own. So we had the group of 4 of us. And one of the ladies, Catherine, I spent the first week with in Paris because coincidentally, we were going to be in Paris together just pre your tour. So it was lovely. So, and I'm still catching up with Sarah and Nellie on a regular basis when we go down to Melbourne. We go to Paris Go Bistro in Melbourne, a lovely restaurant, all these lovely places. And Nellie, who I met online and I see quite regularly, has signed up for your upcoming tour in September. And it's so exciting. Yay. And, she also said If not now, when? Like she's juggling a lot of things, but
Right. She lives on a farm and
yes,
her cow just had a baby today.
yes,
I just saw the picture 5 minutes before we got on this call.
yes. And she's, juggling school kids and she's juggling the farm. And yeah, so she's juggling a lot, but she said yes. And it's just fantastic to share that, to be able to share my experience of saying, I just said, yes, I'm going. And she went, yes, I'm going. And I really applaud her. It's awesome. And it's about this network of women. And by sharing our story and sharing our commitment to ourselves, because, one thing, Wendy, when you asked me, how's it been since I've returned from Paris, is that I've really had a noticeable shift in that when I say yes to myself, it fills me with contentment, and I can be a more loving parent, a more loving, if it's possible, grandma, and a more loving partner. And I'm much happier in myself because, women tend to hold back or not feel worthy, or perhaps take on all these roles as mother, partner, wife, caring for elderly parents. We feel as women sometimes it's our duty, our responsibility, but without saying yes to ourselves, these things can really weigh us down and almost feel resentful. And we're not focusing on ourselves. The focus is outwards. We don't have a lot in our cup to overflow to give others, and once my cup is full,
Right.
I've got so much more to give. It's amazing.
It's the most beautiful math equation ever.
Yeah.
Everybody wins when we say yes to ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's not selfish. It's not taking away from what's available to anybody else. It's actually multiplying what we're capable to give because we've experienced receiving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the joy of being on your tour is that I got to meet the joy. Just being around you was a huge joy. It was such a joy.
Being around you is a huge joy. Everything you appreciate in me is because you have it.
Oh, thank you, Wendy. Thank you.
It's a big
Thank
mirror.
you. And because of your generosity, you had introduced us to all these other beautiful, amazing women. I had followed Molly on Instagram, and to cook in her kitchen in her beautiful apartment in Versailles was magical. Who knew I could make macarons? That was amazing.
I know, and you were so good at it.
Just incredible. We came and we met the lovely Mimi in Paris and, saw the art gallery there, and she took us on the tour. And when I had the weekend to myself after the tour had finished, I reached out to Mimi and we caught up for coffee. It was lovely to get to know her a little better. And then, of course, we went to dinner, and Vita told us about her experience about moving to Paris, and that was fantastic. And I've since continued on my relationship with her. So she's been giving me some coaching about, everyday France. And yes. So that's been really, really
That's
lovely.
so great.
Yeah. Of course, beautiful Veronique. That was an amazing day to cook lunch with Veronique in her.
That was magic.
It was gorgeous. Even though, isn't it funny? You recall the open market, it was raining. Like it wasn't the best day weather-wise in Paris, but we had the best day in Paris. It was fantastic. And Veronique is just so gorgeous. And, all these people are online. I feel like I have a friendship with them. We little message each other. So, yeah, I think it's just by saying one yes, it was like this huge domino effect of opening up to more yeses. I just think the more we're able to do that, instead of making an excuse or going, I'm not worthy or this or that, so many reasons that block us from just opening ourselves up to the experience of life, of a beautiful life.
Absolutely. Yes. I love hearing about just the ripple effects of the decision that you made and how our decisions, they do have an impact, and we can choose to have a beautiful impact with them. You saying yes to yourself was also a yes to me following my dream and passion to curate these trips, which was also saying yes to Molly, who said yes to herself to live her best French life, and Beta living her best French life, and Mimi and Veronique. And then to talk about it, and then one of your friends is coming on this trip. It's just, it doesn't stop. And it's so beautiful. And I think that we have a gorgeous opportunity to share these good things and a responsibility to bring our happy with us and to create the life that we want.
Absolutely.
Because it really is, on that last day. So after I left you, Amelia and I went to the Charente-Maritime and spent a week with Jeff. And then we came back and we were in Paris for a night before we flew out. And we were walking and Amelia said, "Mom, why are we leaving?" I was like, "Oh, that's such a good question. I've been thinking of that myself. I can't think of a good answer." And she said, "Well, we should just have an apartment in Paris." Okay. She said we could live in New England in the spring and in the fall, and we could be in Paris in summer and winter. And I just thought, and so it is. I mean, I don't have one yet, but I love for her to come to the realization that that is just a decision away, because it is.
It is.
If you want something, you set your intention on something, you make yourself available for that thing, and you are the vibrational match of what you're asking for, you can manifest that thing. And I love that she is learning these beautiful principles 45 years earlier than I did. It's just so beautiful. So I don't know if we'll ever have an apartment in Paris. If that is aligned for us, I will happily say it was her good idea the whole time.
I really love that. When you say yes, the sky might not always be sunny, but there's so much other beauty around. And I think, as I said, the day with Veronique, it was a little rainy that day by the time we got to the open market, and it had started raining fairly heavily. We did not care. We were having such a great time chatting with Veronique, looking at all the fresh produce. That was the focus. The focus wasn't like, oh my goodness, it's raining and I'm in Paris. Who cares? I'm in Paris. And I think, that is really key. And the ability to walk around Paris. I love to walk, and it doesn't have to be hard and fast. It can be self-paced. Sometimes we can go a little faster if we want, but you look around and you see the beauty all around you. And I think that is a real joy. And for me, that's bringing my happiness with me. I can look at something and go, wow, that is so beautiful. And I think we were fortunate because it was just coming into their springtime. The gardens were flowering everywhere and it was just beautiful. And we were really blessed with some lovely weather in the first week. And, in the second week, as you said, you went off with Amelia after the tour. And then, I think you were still there at the hotel with us, and it snowed.
Right.
And I don't get snow in the snowfields in Australia, but where I am, we don't have snow, although we had a tiny bit this last couple of weeks. And, I went out the next day after you'd left, and I was in Paris on my own, and I went out and I went, wow, just pinch me. I'm walking in Paris in the snow. It was just incredible. I really had to stop for a minute and just look at it and sort of take it all in, because it was a real pinch me moment, Yeah. And if I hadn't said yes initially, I wouldn't have had that experience even after the tour had ended, all that beautifulness, all that lovely, lovely, wonderful, gorgeous times we had. And then even on the weekend when I was there on my own, walking in the snow in Paris. Who knew that was on my bucket list? It was.
Right. And I think, it just speaks to the concept of we find what we're looking for.
Absolutely.
So if we are looking for things to not work out and always be against us and be really hard, that is exactly what we will find. And if we are open and available and can celebrate what is happening and be present for it.
Definitely.
It's just such a gift because we can find a gift in every single moment. And since we are the same person, we know that that is exactly what we do. I completely understand that that is not everybody's bent, but it's mine and it's yours. And I think it's a superpower. And I love that we bring our happy with us. We find happy. I'm looking around. I see 47 things that bring me joy that I could tell you about just while I'm sitting here, because we find what we're looking for.
Absolutely. We do. Absolutely. And saying yes to those things that you might think, oh, that's a bit scary, or, oh, that's a bit unknown. I'm just going to be open. I'm just going to say yes and see where that takes me and follow what feels right for me.
Follow the curiosity.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I have loved this conversation. I have loved catching up with you. Thank you so much for saying yes to yourself and for saying yes to me and this conversation. And I'm just so excited to continue to watch the ripple effects of your beautiful choices.
Thank you, Wendy. And thank you, Wendy, for leading me to and teaching me also about saying yes to myself. So thank you. Merci beaucoup.
It's my great pleasure. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wright House and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.